Hello and welcome back to the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Analysis. I am your host, Oswald Pendulbury, returning once again. And this is our special ultimate Schmoedown prediction episode. I will be walking off the highest playing, drifting through the deepest waters, and predicting every match down the line to come to who will be the final victor of this festering pit of movie trivia knowledge. But let us first turn to George Pendulbury, my brother, to swiftly break down the matches we have missed.
I am George Pendulbury here, ready to break down the rest of the matches in the Schmoedown that we missed. Deep Cuts versus IGN. IGN won unsurprisingly, but in a pointless match really, given that they're no longer a team anymore. Shame, as it could have contended for the top prize. Next we have a grudge match, perhaps redemption of some sort, of JT versus Ken I Don't Watch Movies Knapsack. Knapsack lost, I suppose, unsurprisingly, but he certainly put up more than a fight against no one's hero, JT. We also had a couple of inner geekdom matches, which I care so much about, am I right? Rachel Cushing versus Kalinowski. Kalinowski losing, just barely, giving him a most unfortunate record for his skills in the league. Meanwhile, the Crusher continues his streak as a notable competitor in all three leagues. We also had an unfortunate display of former champ Robert Meyer Burnett and the mic man himself, Jay Washington. I think by this performance the two should stick to talking and stay away from answering questions because they're so bad at it. Abysmal display by both of them. They won just barely by the end. I'm sure they're nice fellas, but man, I don't know what was going on there. We had a far more interesting match in the normal singles of Scott Mance versus the Return of the Beast, William Bibiani. Thankfully, Mance performed far more effectively than he did in his own abysmal match against Hal Rudnick. This was a redemption for him, as he finally took the match seriously, though in the end it resulted in a loss against the Beast. An admirable loss, though, against the Beast, who lost his initial height, but he is still definitely a fierce competitor. Finally, we had the championship match, team match that is, between the Team Patriots versus Team MODOK, formerly Rotten Tomatoes. Again, the epic trolling of JT and Jeff Snyder won against their competitors as predicted. A great match, though, it has to be said, as both performed brilliantly. And though the Patriots won, they did not dominate this time. They might easily have lost, in fact, if Matt Adichie tried to have the Evil Dead 3 approved for Army of Darkness, or if we had better understood the speed round. Unfortunately, he didn't, and that's an advantage of any seasoned champ. Also, I must say I'm not sold on this new sudden death. All of answering all at once, it's the sort of tennis. It should follow a tennis rules once again. Speed round was more acceptable, and I don't think anybody had a problem with that, so it was odd that they changed it. This was a touch too simple, and perhaps add that one team needs to be up by 2 would be a good compromise, I think. You could keep the boards, I guess, but do it that way. It'd be better. Well, that's the rundown for the past matches. Back to you, Oswald, to cover the ultimate Schmoedown.
Thank you, George. Now let us brave the treacherous rocks of such a prediction. We shall begin as any story should, unless you're Breaking Bad, The Killing, Pulp Fiction, okay, many stories at the beginning. But before the one note on the lack of Team Schmoes, a message to Mark Ellis and Christian Holler. You've lost twice to only a single team. Get back in the game against someone, anyone besides top 10, to stop the streak against you. Do not give up. That would be shameful, a shameful display. I say this from a point of deep affection. For talented competitors, you have it in you to be champs again. Speaking of top 10, though, let's examine the first match, a tournament of the Schmoedown, which I will be doing every match, and this will be my single prediction for the entirety. No guts, no glory, and I'll probably be wrong, but let's take a guess anyway. First match, we'll have the former team top 10 with Nost and Roka against the Real Rejects, featuring Gabby J and Glass Joe. A perfect match for the top 10 crew, now back doing their show once again to shake up the ring rust off their last defeat. There will be an upset here. Top 10 will take the victory. I have faith in that. Following that, we have a grudge match against Team Heroes now John Schnepp and Hector Navarro against Team Blofeld's Cat, featuring the new Lion's Dens member and former hero member Robert Meyer Burnett alongside Lion Den mainstay Mark Draco. I would say the two denizens of the dark should have gone with Team Villains, as I'm not sure Blofeld's Cat hurt anyone other than Donald Pleasance's arm in You Only Live Twice. However, this ought to be an invigorating match, due to the rivalry of Burnett and Navarro, along with the history of Burnett with Schnepp. As a competition, though, perhaps less so. But unless Burnett is himself from his Jay Washington match. Schnepp has always been a weak player, taking the Masters as seriously as I do my mortgage payments. We will see a change in that, maybe. However, Navarro is a decent player in normal singles, but not a great one. And Draco, though, has not lived up to the initial match he gave against the Beast, so it is not a clear-cut affair. However, I feel the momentum is in the favor of the Lion's Dens and the Blofeld's Cat. Continuing the first round, we have former team contenders and should be team champions of Inman and Metz against Team Snowblend, a team so notable I forgot that they competed before. No disrespect, though. I'm sure they're wonderful fellows and decent players. Martin and Inman, though, seem like they also could rub off the rust with such a match. The path is not as simple as it seems for top 10, yet they have the power to do so quite easily, as long as we see the team that fought their second, third, and fourth matches, and not their first or fifth. I do believe we will find that with Team Trek moving on to the next stage of the gauntlet. Or perhaps the undiscovered country. No, I apologize for that. For the final side of the Schmo side of the bracket, we have the editors of Deep Cuts against the luckiest Schmoedown players alive of Team Action, who just always have that right spin. The luck of Team Action will guarantee their narrow escape from the power of the quick cutters, I do believe, if they spin action. It might as well be over in an instant if they do. A close match still, but the Actioneers will prevail. Now over to the downside of the tournament. Our first match is the Wolves of Steel, perhaps an overrated team by the powers that be, though still a strong set of performers to be sure. Again, the inexplicable team of Makuga and question mark, a mystery player who shall be, Stephen Hawking, Edgar Wright, myself. I doubt as any of those people could be Copster, then may God help Makuga's chances. If instead Merle, I suspect Makuga made some deal with the devil to resort to such a partnership. Maybe it's just Elliot Dewberry. As it stands, I must predict the known quantity, which is guessing Makuga against the very good, not quite great, players of Steel. In that matchup, I must say the Wolves, though the mystery player could easily tip the scales in the wild man's favor. Following the match, we have Team Smug, critically acclaimed with Beast and Whitney Seibold, I believe, against the fan team of Late to the Box Social. Late to the Box Social has a single loss, but an admirable match to be sure. They're going against what could be the future champs, though, the elite corporate board ready to crush those below them, which is critically acclaimed, whose first performance suggests they are a dangerous machine, removing the only flaw in the Beast by having his handler Seibold there, to ensure he maintains enough of his humanity to answer the final question. Critically acclaimed will win this match, but this could be an all-time high-scoring match with the right circumstances. After that, we have the Nerds Watch after their unfortunate defeat against the new team of Drew McWeeny and Sam Levine, two veterans of the league, whose last outing in teams did not go so well for old Levine, but McWeeny has yet to play. This time, Levine is a movie trivia expert rather than an expert on anything but movie trivia. So this ought to be a far stronger team-up between the Inglorious One and the Godfather. Nerds Watch is no competitor to turn your mustache at, though, covering the various facets of the trivia Schmoedown quite effectively. However, the Inglorious Godfather could be equally impressive in this understanding of those two differing elements of film. It is for this reason I predict the upset of the veteran newcomers against the Nerds Watch, though I predict a remarkably close match. Finally, in the downside of the bracket, we have 6 Degrees against DC Movie News, a rematch of sorts of Brian Chandler against Mike Kalinowski, though this time both supplemented by their teammate Stacey Howard and the other guy. 6 Degrees lost their hot streak with Chandler's close defeat against Kalinowski in singles. However, their final team match was most impressive. DC Movie News was an incredible fighter, though, so they should not be discredited at any point. This match could find itself going either way, but I will call the upset here of DC Movie News defeating 6 Degrees, perhaps ending their burst of momentum garnered from their heel turn. Now in round 2 of the Schmo side of the championship, we have Top 10 against Blofeld's Cat, another former teammate for Robert Meyer Burnett, as he'll be facing his old fellow equestrians from the Four Horsemen. Here is where the Top 10's resolve comes into play. If we meet the champion match, Top 10, we will have a clear victory. If not, this will come down to a most precarious situation. However, I feel the confidence of the previous match will hold to a victory again for the outlaw and Sam Rockwell, though perhaps just barely. We have a similar test in Trek vs. Action. Trek has regained their confidence enough to win if they won their previous match, and if that is the case,
I think we may see Mance v. Roca in the end. So they should be able to defeat Team Action, but Team Action's luck should never be forgotten. So this may be close, but I will ask for Trek to take the victory, and the Enterprise will not be destroyed yet. Returning for round 2 on the downside, we'll have Wolves of Steel against Smug, and Smugger, I mean critically acclaimed. This will be Wolves' weaknesses hold root, I feel, and critically acclaimed will continue their victory run, as their smugness will only grow and fester like some horrible wound. However, this will not be stopped here. The Wolves good, but they will fall to the might of this duo, I have a feeling. The final match in round 2 should consist then of DC Movie News against McWeenie and Levine. If the Inglorious Godfather is as notable as they could be, DC Movie News should be no trouble to defeat. This brings us to the semifinals. On the Schmo side, we have an epic showdown of Top 10 against Trek, both true contenders of the highest form. This would be a most incredible match, as their strengths and weaknesses are rather similar. If in my fantasy realization of the matches, though, this could lead to a truly invigorated Team Top 10 with a boost of their return show that could give them the edge over the formidable Trek. This would bring them former champs into the finals, where they will be facing either critically acclaimed or the Inglorious Godfather for the finals, where Top 10 would represent the expected contender. These two are the technical underdogs as rankings are concerned, but not as individual players are. This should be a ferocious match, where the two teams each complement each other in terms of their particular skills. Both will have the chance to build their reputations through 2 previous wins. However, Smug and Smugger just seem to have that mutual energy to the current champion, the Patriots, and that would give critically acclaimed the edge to bring them to the final round of the tournament. The final round, in my view, would be written by the commission himself, I suppose, with a final showdown between the Beast and his former cohorts, with the tension only amplified if Top 10 had previously bested the other traitor in Robert Meyer Burnett. A battle of epic, perhaps even Homeric proportions closed the tournament. As much as I've shown my derision for critically acclaimed throughout these predictions, I believe they should win, as that would create a proper competitor for the Team Patriots. Yes, Top 10 could beat the Patriots in the right circumstance, by having lost twice to them. That is not an ideal match. Therefore, it should be critically acclaimed to take on the role of number 1 contender. If they perform as they've predicted they would, to give them 5 impressive unanswered wins to take on the similarly undefeated Patriots, that create quite the match of intolerables, and a match that this Schmoedown scholar wishes to see. Now, this could be Team Top 10. Still, they are a powerful set, and in addition, they have played the championship game style, which is an advantage. But I predict it will not be enough to prevent the smugness from reigning supreme. This has been the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Analysis. Thank you, and good night.